Well, hey everybody, thank you so much for joining today's IoT30 session. Without further ado, today we would like to welcome Andy Hasselt from Bosch Rexroth, who's going to talk to us a little bit about Industry 4.0 and specifically the PPM.
All right, I guess I'll introduce him. Andy Hasselt here is from Rexroth. He's from DC, US, and he sells Industry 4.0 solutions. He's a connected industry consultant out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. Andy, are you still on the line?
I'm still here.
Lovely. Hello.
Now you've been at Bosch for 15
years.
15 years
15,
now?
All right.
Yep.
And you started off as kind of like a lean manufacturing person. What
Correct.
was that all about?
Well, I always had a passion to improve the status quo. Nothing was ever good enough, and try to find structured ways on how to make things better, more efficient, to basically carve time out of my day to work on things that I'd rather like to do than the things that I have to do. And there was initially a focus on logistics, but quickly ventured into different manufacturing and administrative processes.
Cool. So your group is basically you go out and you assess these manufacturers, whatnot. They come to you and say, hey, we're looking at some kind of solution, and then you have a team of people that you basically sell their consulting services to help do these integrations, right?
That is correct. We go out, we do waste walks or assessments, readiness assessments of a customer's infrastructure, and that includes their entire supply chain from logistics to manufacturing operation, but also their engineering, maintenance, and quality systems and groups, and develop a gap analysis and make some recommendations on how they can tangibly get started along this journey of Industry 4.0 or IoT. And these solutions usually entail process improvements, change management topics, and then some technical software solutions paired up with it.
Awesome. So what's kind of the lay of the land out there in a lot of the factories of today? Are most of them still really far behind and facing a lot of challenges in this area, or are a lot of them already starting to improve using different IoT solutions?
A lot of companies out there, are still doing Industry 2.0. They just barely got out of the mechanization part and electrification. A lot of times they don't have PLCs, and if they do, it's dispersed systems. They're isolated, siloed. The competency levels in most cases is fairly low. So talking about data and utilizing data for better decision making, many companies are far away from that, and they want to participate, they feel the need to participate, but they really don't understand and know how to get started. This is the biggest issue.
That's awesome.
So let's talk about Production Performance Manager for a little bit. Now this is a piece of software that you sell. It's made by the NextEd Group inside of Bosch Software Innovations, correct?
That is correct.
Cool.
And this, what is it and what does it do?
Yeah.
It's a really easy to use piece of software that is, I want to say, hardware and process agnostic. It makes it quite interesting for a usually very heterogeneous manufacturing environment. It provides two basic functions, one being condition monitoring of equipment, and the other is process quality control, quality management. Looking at a defined start and end point of a process and looking at parameters within this given time frame if they have been executed as anticipated, and giving you a okay or an okay immediate feedback. Objective is, with this solution, to provide transparency to people in the organization to make decisions better, to get alerted if things aren't according to a plan. And what you can do here, you can create in a rules engine, in a no-code environment, from simple upper-lower bound rules to highly complicated statistical rules to drive information back to you when a given state is reached that wasn't desirable, and provide information to everybody in the organization to make better decisions, to essentially get your equipment back up and running faster.
So to give a tangible example of this, you'd be able to do something like a high and low limit on like a toaster oven or a bowling ball polisher or something along those lines, right? I don't know. I'm just coming up with these ideas off the top of my head. I mean, go ahead.
Tangible example from our manufacturing environment is monitoring spindle temperature in a machining center, for example. Making sure that coolant fluids, coolant levels, lubrication levels are in the right concentration, in the right cleanliness, in the right level available for your manufacturing process. And if a deviation occurs, if you reach a buildup in temperature, get a signal, get a flag triggered, and notify the right people in your system to take a closer look at that. Mm-hmm. Providing them with the information, hey, here's something that happened, and here's a lot of additional data around that, measuring additional parameters. They can make decisions what has happened, what needs to be done, and guiding them down a path of problem solving in an efficient manner.
Mm-hmm. So I guess that kind of gets again into more of the larger issues that Industry 4.0 solutions are really kind of fixing, right? So what kind of trends do you see, or what are some of the biggest problems that your customers are facing? Is it really just like the machine downtime and when you have to repair them, or what else are these kind of solutions fixing?
So if we're talking about this technical PPM solution, mm-hmm. Yes, a lot of it is understanding where's my failure in my machine. Sometimes the delay in response time, especially if you have remote areas in your factory, your maintenance crew is in some area, one end of your factory. Problems occur somewhere else. So relaying information real time, quicker, and very detailed on what happened. But also through these rules that can be configured, providing a degree of prediction on what is going to happen with your process, with your equipment. And many companies struggle with having the lack of basic connectivity of their equipment. But also from a process perspective, even if they have that information, they don't know how to utilize this information to make decisions. So there's no process built around the software solution or a software solution on how to systematically do problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you're a manufacturer and you're kind of stuck in that I 2.0 phase, all right, and whatnot, how does a project like, hey, I want to make this jump, how does that get started inside of the plant? Is this is this like an external pull that they're looking around saying, hey, this is really cool, but we have this really manual process, or is this they hire in a consulting firm or something along those lines? How does, when a plant decides or a manufacturer decides that it's going to that it's going to try to engage in this kind of project, how does that usually get started?
It is different levels. Number one, from a technical perspective, a solution presentation. What is the technical capability, feasibility of something that we can provide, or other customers or other vendors can provide? But then it goes into understanding the holistic approach. Where else can this solution help me, or what other solutions can work together with solving one particular problem? And the need to get help. Companies, like I mentioned, they don't know where to start and how to start. Mm-hmm. So they're looking for people that have implemented in their own factories. And this is where we have a great advantage towards a lot of competitors in the market. We use these solutions in our own factories. Customers love to come to our sites, take a look, talk to our own experts that have struggled with the implementation, making these solutions work, and understanding the ins and outs of that. And having access to these experts really speaks to our strategic approach and how we bring these topics to the market, what customers are looking for. and that we have this end-to-end solution for logistics, manufacturing, and other technical topics.
Yeah,
this is how customers like to work with us.
Yeah, that's really cool. So then I'm assuming it's the Bethlehem plant that you're talking about. So you actually bring customers on site to kind of go through our own plant and see the technology in action?
Yes, we have
That's
multiple
super
plants
cool.
here in North America, 5 to be exact, between Mexico and the U.S., where we take customers on guided tours, and depending on their type of manufacturing, type of their problems that they're trying to solve, and this type of a tangible experience, this is really second to none that we can offer to the market.
Cool. So what do you see as the largest hurdle for a manufacturer to start going down the IoT 4.0 route? I mean, I suppose this varies wildly depending on how advanced their organization is. But on the other side, if their organization is too advanced, they've already got a lot of these policies and procedures and whatnot in place that make it impossible to innovate. So, or very difficult to innovate. So what do you see as some of the largest hurdles that you've run into when selling these solutions that have to, to get past?
I want to say it is the change management portion on how do I adapt to these technical solutions? How do I make them use in my organization that I get the buy-in from every single level? As an example, we're creating these levels of transparency suddenly. What do you think an operator feels like or a manager feels like? They only were judged by an outcome, but now everybody can see very easily and how they're performing along this process. And maybe things aren't as great along the process as everybody thought they might be. There's a lot of hesitation and buy-in from people in these solutions implementations. The change management part on one hand, and the other part is the strategic understanding on what I should be investing in, having a roadmap and a vision on where I want to go with these solutions. Those are the two biggest issues that we see in every single company that we go to.
That also
no matter their advancement.
Yeah, that also kind of leads into the question. I feel like in a lot of Industry 4.0 discussions, it's also not just about the technology, but it's about the people using the technology. Because traditional plants, you have the line workers and whatnot. So what's kind of their feedback of these different solutions that you're implementing? Are they very receptive to them, or is there a lot of training that goes into kind of implementing these solutions, not only just on the technology side, but also with the people?
So this is our big USP that we bring to the table here, our experience in understanding a culture, the change management part, and involving these associates from day one, solving their daily pains and providing tangible value to them. If they're integrated and feeling valued, in many cases, we don't have any objections, rather than more additional improvement suggestions from them on how to make it even better. If we lack to engage them, then we run into issues in terms of refusing to cooperate, refusing to utilize these types of solutions and processes.
Right. Very cool.
Okay, so you've worked in a number of the different regions and whatnot. Are there any differences in, say, the North American region versus EMEA versus AP in their willingness to accept or adopt these type solutions?
Yes, and there are some differences. In principle, the U.S. is a lot more open to sharing data. It's less of a discussion. Using cloud systems, less of a discussion, a lot sooner possible with companies. A lot more willingness to trial topics rather than to plan, like my German colleagues. And being German, yes, I can say that. It doesn't have to be the fanciest solution. So the agile mindset, the 80-20 Pareto approach, more true in North America and in the US than it is in Germany, particularly, from my observation. And especially in Germany, we like to engineer everything to the nth degree. So a highly technical, sophisticated solution is more important than in the US, the user experience is much more prevailing. Those, in my opinion, are the big differences that we see. But other than that, the problems, the pains that people are trying to solve, doesn't matter where you go, what industry, what company, what size of the company, they're always the same.
Yeah, that's really interesting, though, to just kind of hear that perspective regardless.
Well, I did have one last question here for Andy. Where do you see this going in, say, the next 5 years? I mean, you've kind of been at the forefront of this. I've been out to the Bethlehem plant and seen how impressive some of the integration, particularly the augmented work and whatnot is. But where do you see this going in, say, the next 5 years?
I think we're just got started. I want to say by getting more connectivity across our value streams. I want to say the possibilities that we're starting to scratch on to do analytics across entire supply chains. There will be a lot of interesting results coming to the forefront for decision making that we haven't been able to harness so far. I think things are just getting faster, and we can make decisions better with data and less of a gut feeling, which isn't always wrong, but now we can, with more certainty, make decisions and
can back it up. Yep.
Speed is pretty much, things are just moving pretty darn fast.
Well, we want to thank you for joining us on this IoT30. Shockingly, we have hit our 30 minutes.
Already.
So we really want to thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you on our little show here. And look forward to talking to you in the next couple of years and seeing where all this is going.
Yeah, thanks, Andy.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening.